Hello, Period 1 American History. My name is Jay, and in this episode of Jay Has Too Much Time, I will illustrate how the actions and ideologies of the Sons of Liberty impacted the lead up to the Revolutionary War. One disclaimer before we start: in no way was the information derived from Assassin's Creed. Maybe. Alright, to learn about the Sons of Liberty, we'll need to go back in time. It is the 7 Years' War, and France and Britain are at war with each other. Britain won, but at what cost? 60 million pounds in debt is what. So Britain pronounced the Stamp Act in 1765. The Stamp Act was basically,
One deck of cards, please. I need to gamble my depression away.
Sure, one deck of cards.
Whoa, what the was that?
Well, sir, that's the Stamp Act. It's a tax on any type of paper or documentation.
No!
so thus the colonies threw a temper tantrum because Daddy Britain was making them pay rent. Shortly after, a secret society labeled as the Sons of Liberty formed with the sole mission of fighting unjust taxations and defending human rights. Samuel Adams, the second cousin to President John Adams, was the primary founder. Some leading members included John Hancock, Benjamin Franklin, Joseph Warren, Paul Revere. Very little documentation can be found about the actions of the Sons of Liberty, hence the secret society, but what is known about them is that they would do anything to fight against unjust taxes. Feathering was a very common approach to dealing with tax collectors. Just imagine you, a middle-aged man, probably working minimum wage, collecting taxes, walking down the street, and you get drive-by'd.
Bro, why? Stop! My life.
One famous account of this was the burning of Andrew Oliver, a stamp distributor. In 1765, to fight against the tax, the Sons of Liberty gathered near the Liberty Tree and burned a small figure of him, threatening that he resign, but when he did resign, they still burned his house. Stoning and thuggery were prominent methods of dealing with tax collectors, and due to the revolt and the boycott of British goods, Britain repealed the Stamp Act in 1766, but Britain still needed money, so they were like,
You know what? Double the taxes.
So thus, the Townshend Act was passed, and this was a tax on tea, glass, lead, and linen. In turn, the Sons of Liberty held even more protests and boycotted goods even harder, which led Britain to repeal the taxes again, but keep the one on tea. Why tea, you may ask? Because it's Britain. Tea is a national treasure. Fun fact, people in Wales call dinner tea.
Yes, Mother, what are we having for tea?
Why, what we have every day, beans and toast.
The Sons also got way more creative with their acts of rebellion. If you were a merchant who even thought the British had good-looking coats, you would have colonists show up at your shop and throw mud and rocks. The Boston Massacre on March 5th of 1770 was a result of civil unrest when Britain commissioned over 1,000 regulars to Boston. The name Boston Massacre was a form of propaganda used by the Sons of Liberty to make it seem like it was a bloodbath of American colonists. By this time, the Sons of Liberty were a large group spreading throughout the colonies, with multiple subgroups like the Daughters of Liberty. The most well-known event the Sons of Liberty were involved in was the Boston Tea Party in December 16, 1773. Everyone, for the most part, already knows what took place, but what took place after was what was interesting. John Malcolm was sent to replace Andrew Oliver as head customs agent, and upon arrival was immediately doused with tar and feathered. Then tea was poured down his throat through a funnel. Upon seeing the tens of thousands of pounds of tea wasted, the British were disgusted, outraged, appalled, absolutely fuming. Tensions were the highest they've ever been. Preluding the start of the Revolutionary War, the Sons of Liberty transitioned into the Committee of Safety, which was a secret government controlling the colonists without the knowledge of the British. Finally, the British had had enough. British troops from Boston set out in the middle of the night for a rebel base in Concord. The Sons, including Paul Revere, rode ahead and warned the rebels so they could prepare for the upcoming battle. Both armies met in the middle, in the town of Lexington. As the sun was rising, a shot was fired. It is unknown who shot first, but this shot would be remembered as the shot heard around the world, and thus the Revolutionary War was underway. As we see, the Sons were crucial during the lead up to the Revolutionary War. They used whatever means to rebel against Britain and overall boost the morality of the colonies. Their ideology against unjust taxes and wanting basic rights was mostly their driving motivation in their actions against the British. The group would later disband in 1775, but prominent members would later become founding fathers and sign the Declaration of Independence.